So it's time for a little bit of a rant on the Motion Picture Association of America's rating systems. I want to talk about the difference between PG-13 and R ratings. For a lot of people, these ratings don't mean anything, they just don't care. However, there is still a powerful influential effect that these ratings have. For example, I live in a pretty conservative place, and some people were upset at a local library recently for putting a lot of rated R movies on display in the front of the library. Their contention was that, well, they're R-rated, so they must be questionable, morally objectionable, or not, of course, for children. Now, some of that might be true. There are, of course, R-rated movies that have lots of violence, lots of sex, things you don't want little people to see. But I don't think most people are aware of what the MPAA's rating standard actually is. Do you know what the difference between PG-13 and R-rated movies is? Here's an exercise I like to use with a class I teach. The exercise is this: you're a movie studio executive, you want your big budget movie to be seen by everybody, thus it needs to be rated PG-13 instead of R. The director has submitted to you a cut of the movie which has these things at the bottom of the screen in them. Which ones do you need to take out in order to make it a PG-13 rating? I want you to take out the bare minimum number. Pause the video and see if you can figure out what the least amount of things you can take out is. So here's the revelation. In this list, all you need to take out is 2 F words. In fact, PG-13 rated movies today can have 2 F words as long as they're not used in a sexual way. What? Why 2 and not 3? Why 2 and not 1? 2 seems completely arbitrary and it's totally ridiculous. Now let me ask a tough question for some people. What does it matter if people hear these vulgar words? Compare it to what else is in this movie. A man gets a pencil slammed into his head. That's actually in The Dark Knight. So which is worse, a 13-year-old hearing a vulgar 4-letter word in English, or seeing some horrific act of violence? Well, the MPAA has said that 3 F words are worse than horrific violence. And as long as that violence is bloodless, it's PG-13. That's why in PG-13 rated movies, you might see a lot of violence, a lot of action violence with guns, but you don't see any blood because the movie makers just want a PG-13 rating. So basically the American movie rating system rewards lots of bloodless violence, but 3 so-called vulgar or crass words, which I see in popular culture everywhere, including in bookstores, including online, including in high schools and middle schools. You can go down the halls and in the locker rooms and hear these words. Apparently those are more adult than violence, and serious violence at that. Now, one more complaint. Nudity, of course, is going to get an R rating in America. This is different from other parts of the world, Europe included. But even nudity that is not sexual or erotic is R rated. Which is weird because I can go find an anatomy textbook and see exactly the same thing as a non-erotic image in a movie. Okay, so the MPAA then says that bloodless violence is better than seeing a nude, non-erotic image. All of these things lead to very weird scenarios. On the one hand, you have a movie like The Dark Knight, which is PG-13. And then you get movies like The King's Speech or Nebraska. Both of these movies are rated R for so-called language. And the language is they go over the 2 F-word barrier. In The King's Speech, which is a totally innocuous movie, you have a tongue-tied king who is getting therapy, and in one of the therapy sessions, his therapist tells him to say the F word a whole lot. So he says it 10, 15, 20 times. That's what got this movie an R rating. Nebraska is similar. It has some crass language in it, but from 1 or 2 characters only, which is consistent with the real world and is good writing, period. And which middle schoolers hear in their hallways or their locker rooms. So basically the MPAA said Nebraska and King's Speech is worse or more adult than any violent movie that gets a PG-13 rating. Of course, The Hunger Games is kids killing other kids, and that's PG-13. So given that, why would anybody take the PG-13 and R rating seriously? There is no moral system I know that could justify what the MPAA believes. So to me, the whole American rating system is a sham and a fraud and needs to be reformed. My suggestion, as I said in the other video, is to get a team of psychologists, parents, and experts together and put age-based ratings on movies. And then you're going to let people make individual judgments about who should see what. So I don't know why people trust the rating system at all. It hasn't really ever made sense since the 1970s, but at least I'm thankful for sites like Common Sense Media, Kids in Mind, that if I need to see what's in a movie, I can go look it up and decide for myself. That's my suggestion to you, to ignore the rating system and to go to Common Sense Media and just pay attention to that if you care about this stuff at all. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Please subscribe to my channel for more great movie content. See you later.